Welcome to Cycles TV. This session of the Market Cycles Report is intended exclusively to provide information and education to help individuals better understand cycles and the markets. However, this information is not to be construed as professional advice as to the buying and selling of securities. In no event does the host express any opinion with respect to, or make recommendations regarding, the purchase or sale of any particular investment instrument. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. Buying or selling decisions are solely within the personal discretion of each individual. And now, enjoy the show. Here is your host.
Welcome to the Foundation for the Study of Cycles. My name is Lars Fontin, and today we talk about cycle analysis. I need to explain upfront, I needed to record this session on Sunday. So you will see this streamed on Monday. I'm on a business travel today, so I wanted to at least ensure that you have a live stream, not a live stream, but a stream today. So please excuse, it's pre-recorded yesterday when you watch it on Monday. Purpose of today is let's have a look at the current cycles in the main markets. As it is quite now, if you look into the spectrum, not so easy. So we will look into the tech. I will have a look at the Nasdaq tech sector, Apple, and the volatility index to give you a quick wrap up about the status of cycles and what to expect, and if something has changed compared to what we showed you, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago here, beginning of January. So let's get into the session. What you see here on the screen is first the current analysis of Apple. And you know, I use Apple currently as a kind of proxy for the tech sector because I explained it several times in past videos. It quite worked very well since mid last year for several reasons to analyze cycles in Apple. They are much more clearer and it can be used as a proxy for the overall tech industry. So, but let's start with a clean screen first here. So that's the current price action in Apple. We see the nice rally here since beginning of this year. This is the current cycle spectrum here down below. And you know, the basic procedure is we're looking out for nice, sharp and clean peaks in the spectrum, which in this case here, so in Apple, it's nice to identify. So I think it's clearly seen that we have a nice sharp peak, which means here to the left side and to the right side. It's clearly standing out. It has a huge degree of freedom to the left and to the right. There's no cycle in between. The next ones here have a quite lower amplitude, and also these ones here. So the cycle length of 82 trading days is a valid one. It is also listed here in top of the list, which means that the cycle strength score is the highest of this cycle strength, this cycle length here. And the Bartels score is above 50, which is quite a good indication. It's not the best Bartels score, that's why we see a blue triangle here, but it's okay. So that's the clear cycle to select. You can also see from past behavior that past cycle tops are nicely aligned here with tops and bottoms here. So then here we have a peak. Here's a low, so a double low here, aligned with this low here, then here a high, then quite nice the low, then here high, low, high, low. So this cycle clearly tracks past behavior, and we are now in the upswing cycle here, which continues into March. And there's no change in if you have a look at our previous analysis in Apple. So that's now good to see. And I call this the dominant cycle. And you see another clear peak here, which can be located at the cycle length of 138 days. Again, Bartels score is very good, green triangle. The strength score is in the upper section of the list here. So let's put this, if we want to use a composite, on top of that. So this is now a composite cycle just purely on the two dominant cycles, which quite tracks it even more nicely. And by the way, why I think this composite is valid, is because we are tracking this composite here since August last year. Yeah, and if you go back to July, August last year of our review, we have seen the top in Apple right on time. So this composite, if you are a long-term follower here on this channel, is not new to you. Yeah, and that's why we need to review if this composite is still valid. It is. We don't see it for the first time, so we can really trust it. And we are right in the in the middle, or quite before the middle of this composite cycle. And even if we activate both cycles, so the next important point in time where we are interested in is here the top, which is mid-March. And even if we select just one cycle here, this top projection not really changes much. So, and there's no change. We still expect continued upward momentum if we just look into Apple, at least for the month of February. I think in 2 to 3 weeks we need to revisit the cycles, but for the next 2 to 3 weeks until end of February, this forecast is quite valid. And now, never trust one asset analysis on its own. So we can now switch to the more broader Nasdaq index here, which I will deselect first all cycles here, where we see the rally here in the Nasdaq index. But now if you look at the spectrum, that's quite not an easy one. So this is also the case. There are times when you get a spectrum where it's really not easy to pick a valid cycle. Yeah, so and without the knowledge of Apple, this spectrum really gives us a headache as a cycle analysis, and I will tell you why. So first, if you look at the left part of this spectrum here, there is not one clear cycle which stands out. I mean, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4 valid cycles here in this group, which have quite a similar amplitude. Yeah, but the sharpness is not the best, because the right side they are ending always here, so they are not dropping very much to the bottom. They are even broadening, so the width of this cycle here extends, and we have blue Bartels score, and here we have a very small triangle, so even the strength of this cycle here. So if I hover over this one here, you even don't see it in the list. So the cycle length of 174, I think here is on the bottom. So it's the last one here in the list. Yeah, and the list is sorted by strength. So the strength of this cycle is 1.7. So it's the weakest cycle of all cycles which are on the spectrum here. Yeah, so all other cycles have higher strength values. So skip this one. Yeah, then, okay, the next one, this one, very small triangle. I mean, okay, it's in the center, but then these ones, Bartel score. And now then you can argue, okay, maybe let's use this one here. Yeah, but again, it's kind of plateau here. So we don't really have a nice peak here in the spectrum. Yeah, the nice peak would really shoot up and go down. So it's a flat plateau. It could be anywhere between 200, 280 to close to 300. So and the strength here, a very small triangle. So this spectrum really does not give us any clue on the Nasdaq. So now we could add this, we know from the analysis of Apple, which are valid cycles. And now let's combine it. So for example, in Apple, we know that this is a valid one and this is a valid peak here. So 138 and 82. And by the way, I've not picked this one here because it's too flat. This is not a good shape we want to see in the spectrum, right? So skip this one. These are the two ones. We go with Apple. 82 days, 138. So let's see if we can find these cycles in the spectrum of the broader Nasdaq. Here we have now the 82-day cycle. And if you have a look in the upper right corner, this cycle is also the second strongest cycle here. Bartel score is about 50. So, okay, just not alone on this spectrum here, but in combination, as we know, this is very prominent in Apple. It's also seen here in the Nasdaq. Let's pick this one here for the Nasdaq. And then 138. So let's see if we can find this cycle here. So if we spot this one here, this is 136. Yeah, it's quite similar. Here we spot it here in the table. So strength is okay. It's in the mid of all the cycles. Bartle score above 50, 136. It's similar to 132, which is found in the apples. So we can use this one here. And you see the shape of this composite cycle is nicely in alignment with the behavior. And the projection of these two cycles give us the same information as we've seen in the Apple stock. So this composite and these two cycles are pointing upwards into early March. Yeah, so confirming the analysis of Apple. However, this is a good example of where a single spectrum is really hard to read if you don't have additional information. And in addition now, let's have an look at sentiment. I really like to look at sentiment data. And for example, the volatility index could be used to track cycles in the volatility index. Here again, oh my God, what is this for a spectrum? Yeah. Again, you get a headache as a cycles analyst, which one to pick here from these cycles. So you should have a good understanding of past behavior in the volatility index. And if we know how the volatility index behaved, we should have a look at around the length of 80. So these two ones here are the ones which have in the past been interesting cycles. And this is a peak here. These three ones are disqualified, yeah, because here they are not going down to the left side. So this is an overall, I can even show it to you. This is an overall flat plateau here, and even to the left, not going down. So you can really ignore everything here. Okay, so this one here is not going down enough here to have a better shape would be moving down here. So same for this one here. So you could exclude all of these peaks here in the spectrum. So you just ignore them for any cycle projection here, right? So then we have maybe these three cycles here, which could be used, and they form a cluster. Now let's see, around 73, 83, 96. So this is kind of a nominal cycle of around 80. Yeah, so this is the cluster around a nominal cycle of 80 days. And this is what we know from past behavior in the volatility index, that there's always a cycle with a length of 80. So these are the three ones I would have a closer look to. Let's start with this one here. So it is the largest triangle. So it's the highest strength. Yeah, if we go from the top, this is found first here. Bartle score is green, so it's quite high. Highest strength compared to the other three ones. So this is the first, yeah, we need to have a look to. This is continuing, and you see from the past shape here, it nicely fits to past behavior. You can review this on your own. More important is the next projected point here, beginning of March, going down. So if the volatility is moving down or projected to move down, the stocks and the global indices continue to move up. So this is in alignment with the other projections. So now let's check the other two cycles here. So we have the 83 days, yeah, which is also now turning down into March or end of March. But if this volatility cycle is turning down, which means it's a positive momentum for the stock index, so 83, you could even combine now these two. So this is the composite of both cycles. And let's check also the longest one here, 96, which is from the strength. Maybe could be in, yeah, let's combine all three now as a final outcome. You see here, if you add all three on top, it's the same outlook here. So they are now all three as a composite cycle are pointing downwards, which means positive momentum for the stocks. And all three cycles bottom out mid-March. Yeah, so you see these three important sentiment cycles seem to bottom around mid-March, moving down now. So the volatility index may be still continuing to move lower, which is a confirmation of what we've seen in Apple and the Nasdaq cycles. Last but not least, you know that in the advanced version, you will get more plotting features here. So this is a kind of charting view of the S&P 500 with this composite cycle here, or with the 84-day cycle. It's just inverted here. Yeah, so this is the volatility index with the inverted cycle, and the inverted data for sure. Yeah, which you see here is pointing upwards. The inverted cycle is pointing upwards mid-March. So we could expect maybe the up move to continue here into mid-March. This is just another way how to plot it on the chart, but this will then come with the analyst features moving forward and extending our analysis. So here we are. That's the update I wanted to give you today. Please take this into account with the analysis we did early January, where I showed you based on the Apple analysis what we expect in the markets. I told you in the early days in January that we should expect now the downward projection here ending end of last year, and then the upswing. We even showed you this end of last year. It's working out quite nicely. So if we move now into the period of February, we even need to monitor this cycle even closer, switch to the technical analysis to really nail down when the next top might be in place. But that's up to one of the next sessions. I hope at least you liked the update for today. Next week, Monday, I will be live here to take also your questions. So thanks for joining me today. See you next week live in the next stream here. Thank you and bye.